So today I'm going to be bringing you some Hyrox race day tips to make sure that one, you feel less anxious about the race and less nervous. Two, we can get you the best possible outcome without having to have any worries about the day. And three, to make your life easier. So if this is something that you think will interest you, stick around because I've got around about 8 tips to go through and I'm looking forward to sharing them with you guys. We'll start off nice and simple. Number one, make sure that you have a list before the race of things you need. The last thing you want to have done is got all the way to London, Manchester or wherever and you find out that you forgot your trainers. So making a checklist is the most simple and effective thing you do, like you do before you go on holiday, or at least I do. And you can tick off what you need. So what kind of things would you need for a race day at Hyrox? So you're going to need your outfit, including shorts, bra, trainers, socks, whatever kind of things you need. And I would also advise a sweatband to throw in there or a wristband, just because it gets really warm in the arena. I also like to wear a cap to stop the sweat from dripping as much. So they're really simple items of clothes that you can wear. Also might be wanting to bring some food if you've got a race later on in the afternoon. It's really good to make sure that your body's fueled up, again, as long as you're used to it. And the same with energy gels. Make sure you've got fuel, food, you've got hydration, so water, whatever you need. One of the most important things is point number 2, is that you need to have a strategy for your race day. So we need to know what kind of pace you're going to be running your kilometers at. We need to know how you're going to be breaking up your wall balls. We also need to know ideally what your strengths and weaknesses are, so you know where you're going to struggle and where you can probably prevail and push a little bit harder. So before your next Hyrox race, I'd highly advise doing something which I've done. I've done a half Hyrox test. You might want to do a full Hyrox simulation and kind of gather some data and see what kind of paces your runs are sitting at, and then give yourself an average kilometer run on that day. 1, so you don't go too quick and go out really fast, and 2, so we know that we can push to a certain level to get the race done to the best of our ability. So if you have any data you want to send over to me, you can do that through my Instagram. I'll reply a lot quicker and I can give you some advice on how I'd recommend to break down the race for you and what would get you through the race without fatiguing out too much, but pushing to the best of your ability on the day. The next one is your routine. Now, we want to make sure that we stick to a routine as much as we can for race day. So we ideally don't want to be changing our circadian rhythm and going to sleep a little bit earlier. We ideally don't want to be eating in the morning if we're not used to eating in the morning. The last thing you want to be doing is changing something and it affects your performance drastically. So for instance, changing your trainers the week before or the day of race, that's not a good idea. You want to stick to what you know because your body is prepared for that. Or even trying gels for the first time on actual race day. Now, some people can't stomach that. Their bodies don't absorb the gels very well. So if you are to try out new things, it's something you want to do maybe 4 to 2 weeks before race day, but anything before that is definitely not a good idea to start changing. The next one is reading the rules and the standards and how Hyrox actually operates. Try not to come into the event and just absolutely wing it, because you will make mistakes and you can get time penalties added on to your overall time if you make these mistakes or if you don't adhere to the movement standards. So there is a Hyrox rule book out there, and there is videos which I've done, which other people have done, which tell you how Hyrox actually works. It's something as simple as when you're coming in from your run, going through the wrong barrier or going to the wrong exercise at the wrong time. It's really important that you know the order of the workout and how the day actually operates to make sure that, again, like I said at the beginning, you're less stressed, less anxious, and you can just really focus on the race and, you know, autopilot that. So what about the actual race? What kind of tips can I give you for that? Now, firstly, it's really important that you warm up. I can't stress this enough. If your body isn't ready for exercise and you're just going to go in and give it your all, then it's going to be a big shock to the system. Now, as I said earlier, if your body's used to this, then maybe stick to this. But I'd highly advise going into the warm-up area and at least trying to push and pull the sled just to get a feel of what it feels like, because I can guarantee if this is your first Hyrox or if you can't remember, the sled will feel completely different to what you have done before. And that's not to scare you, it's just to give you a warning. So if I were you, I would go into the warm-up area, loosen off all the joints in your body, get a slight pulse raise and try and do as many of the Hyrox movements as you can to get a feel for how you feel on the day and how the actual exercises feel for you on the day. After the warm-up, when you're in that starting station and the guy or lady in the tunnel says go and everybody starts to run out as quick as they can, don't be that person. There's no point in a 60 to hour and 40-minute race for you to sprint off and go out too hot. Unless you know you are chasing or going for podium, then do not go too hot on this first run. We spoke earlier about your pacing. Try and stick as close to that pace, even though you will be fresher, as you can. And it will help you, not in the first 10 minutes, but in the first 20 minutes. But in the second half of your workout, that fatigue will catch you up. And I've been the guy who went out too hot and had to walk up to his ski erg. It's embarrassing. Please don't be that person. Stick to this plan we've set for you and go from there. Another thing about race day is the rock zone. So the rock zone is a transition space between runs and exercises, and then when you finish the exercise to your run. Now the time in this rock zone can add up very quickly. There are water stations. You are allowed to walk. You're allowed to do what you want. You can chin wag. You can empty the bins. Or I don't know. You can do whatever you want. But this area is kind of a trap. It's where we lose a lot of time, and this rock zone time does get added on to the end of a race. It's kind of like a rest period, but you want to try and get out of that functional fitness station and back out onto your run as quick as you can, and try not to let those rock zone time minutes accumulate. And my final point is to make sure you have fun. Yes, even as a coach, even as someone who's done Hyrox multiple times, I do get nervous for this. I am absolutely dreading it because of all my hard work. But I know at the same time, I'm going to have an absolute amazing time with all of my clients, all my friends, all of the support you get there. It's one of the most enjoyable race experiences that you will have. And the good thing about it is that it's your race, it's not anyone else's. So you need to make sure that you have a good time, to be as relaxed as you can and to make sure that you enjoy yourself, basically. I hope this was helpful. The next video you'll probably see will be from me at Hyrox London. So if I see you there, come and say hello, and peace out.